Good evening and welcome to Metro Focus. I'm Rafael P. Roman. The MTA's recently released plan to overhaul the city's decaying subway system is emerging as a key issue in the gubernatorial race. Governor Cuomo has finally endorsed the $19 billion initiative proposed by the new transit chief, but challenger Cynthia Nixon did not. Taking to the subways on Friday, she unveiled her own proposals, which include paying for the system's overhaul with funds collected from congestion pricing, a polluter's fee on fossil fuel companies, and a millionaire's tax. But the governor's race wasn't the only local political contest making headlines. In Staten Island, President Trump endorsed incumbent Congressman Dan Donovan, who hasn't always seen eye to eye with the president, against his challenger, former Representative Michael Grimm, who was released from prison just a year ago after serving time for fraud and tax evasion. And it's been another difficult week for Mayor Bill de Blasio after a trove of his personal emails were made public, showing the mayor raging against media coverage of his administration, much like President Trump has been railing against media critics of his. Plenty to discuss with Gotham Gazette's executive editor, Ben Max, who joins us now. Ben, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So, as I said in the introduction, after a few days of kind of silence, the governor endorsed the $19 billion MTA proposal to fix the subways. And Cynthia Nixon proposed her own set of initiatives. First of all, why did the governor wait a few days before endorsing this thing by his own person? And is Cynthia Nixon's proposal different and new?
So a big piece of the governor's hesitation, I think, is the price tag. And the MTA hasn't fully disclosed what they estimate it to be, but the reports say the first phase, first 5 years, about $19 billion.
The first 5 years.
That's a big price tag, right? So the governor doesn't necessarily want to go out on a limb and say, yes, absolutely, we can do this, we can pay for it. He needs a little bit of space. He needs to be able to bargain. He needs to be able to pass legislation that he hasn't gotten passed before. So I think that was some of the hesitation. He didn't want to jump right in and say, oh, yeah, we can do this and we can pay for it. Yeah. But of course, his hand was forced a little bit after the attention it got that he hadn't endorsed it. Yeah. The governor has said that he needs a full congestion pricing plan. He only got a surcharge on taxi and for-hire vehicle rides in the last budget. So there's some pressure on him to deliver that. He also has to negotiate the next MTA capital plan with the mayor, because the state and the city both chip into that. So there's a lot to come on funding. I think that was the biggest reason for his hesitation.
Cynthia Nixon, the spokesperson for the MTA, said her proposals are just kind of a version of theirs. True?
Yes, basically. She basically said this plan looks good. A lot of people have said the plan looks good. Andy Byford was brought in, as you indicated in the open. He was brought in to do just this, and people like what he's doing so far. However, they don't necessarily like to pay for it. That's where her differences come in, as you indicated. She wants the millionaire's tax addition that the governor does not want.
Right. Okay, let's turn to Staten Island. The president endorses Donovan, somebody who didn't always see eye to eye with him. In fact, he voted against the tax cuts, right? And Grimm, who's been running kind of like a Trump-like insurgent candidate, a surprise? The endorsement is a surprise?
A little bit. I think this is one where it was hard to gauge where the president would go. I almost think that if he really had his druthers, he would go with someone like Grimm, who's a little bit more bombastic, like, a little bit more in the Trump mode. But I think that a little bit of reason probably won out in terms of...
They're thinking about the Alabama Senate race?
They're thinking, yeah, exactly. Political risk. Can you really get behind someone who just came out of prison? You have all these issues around investigation. So there was some of that. But it really is curious, given that Donovan voted against what is certainly the largest scale, biggest accomplishment of the president's term so far, from his perspective.
Does the endorsement make a big difference in Staten Island?
It does in the primary. Yeah. So one of the most interesting things here is that both Grimm and Donovan, they're fighting for their political lives, so they certainly need to win that primary. And in the Republican primary in this district, you better be a Trump supporter.
That's one place. That's one place where Trump did very well in New York City.
Absolutely. One key interesting thing, just quickly, is that the pivot, whoever wins that primary, the pivot to the general is going to be fascinating.
It's going to be tough. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to Bill de Blasio and his trove of emails where he's bashing the media. First of all, why was this made public?
Well, it was made public because a Freedom of Information law request was put in by New York One, which give them credit. And then when that was denied, New York One and the New York Post, who had followed suit, sued. So this was a case where the mayor and his people were trying to hide these communications, and they wound up going to court and losing.
Well, the New York Times, the New York Post, which is the primary nemesis of Bill de Blasio as far as media is concerned, immediately came out and said, boy, this is a lot like Donald Trump. I think there was a front page thing comparing the two. De Blasio said, no. Donald Trump, his criticism of the media is right-wing. Mine is progressive and left-wing.
Right.
You buy that?
A little bit. To a little bit of an extent, he has a point. However, it is what's in those emails, a lot of those emails, is not that different than what the mayor has already said publicly. So we didn't really learn that much. We just saw it in a little more detail, with a little more personality, with a few words mixed in that we wouldn't necessarily hear from the mayor in public. But he's been very clear about his disdain for the coverage of his administration, and not just from the New York Post, from virtually every outlet, right up through the other tabloid, through the New York Times, through other sites. He's been frustrated with Gotham Gazette at times. There was one email released where we had criticized him for not holding town halls, and he said, I'm ready to just start doing town halls to stop this coverage. So he's been a critic of how the media has covered his administration from the start. He doesn't think he gets a fair shake, and he doesn't think enough of the good news is highlighted. Right.
Well, there's nothing new there. No. All politicians ever believe that, right?
But one thing he does is he undermines the credibility of the media in a very Trumpian way.
All right, Ben, our time is up. Thank you so much. This has been very interesting.
My pleasure.